Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. We are joined by Representative Rick Staples, Democrat from Knoxville. We're talking about the bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest, which is at the state capitol, sits right outside the House and Senate chambers. Should it be moved? Should it be moved to a museum? Should it be moved outside of the state capitol and replaced with something else? Representative Staples says it should, and has put forth a resolution to that effect. Let's go to the phones now. Let's go to Olivia. Hello, Olivia.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
My comment is Nashville is the capital of Tennessee, and up on that hill sits the building where all the legislatures sit and all those that have been elected into office, black or white. And when we have something that reminds us of something so hideous as slavery and killing innocent people, murdering them, we don't need to have that sitting up there as a reminder to anyone around us, because that house that sits up on that hill in Nashville represents all the people, black, white, red, or yellow. And we need to eradicate that prejudice, that hatred, that bigotry that separated black, white, red, and yellow, especially black and white in those days. But we don't need anything, because when you have something that painful as a reminder all the time, why do we need that man up there? If he did get restitution for his soul before he died, God bless him. I hope he did. But what he did does not mean what he has done in history shouldn't be a memorial for what he stood for. Anything the Ku Klux Klan brought into this country needs to be just wiped out.
Okay.
We don't need that. We need to move on. People need to heal. We need to love. We need to come together as a city, and we don't need anything like that.
Okay. All right, I think I understand. Thank you, Olivia. What do you think? I think you would probably like
I was
that
afraid to interrupt Olivia. She sounded a lot like one of my great aunts, so I was just wanting to let her finish. I didn't want any problems. I think you can hear the passion in her voice, and it's just a perception. What I can agree with Olivia on definitely is we need to put out more actions that show that we are working together in unity on some things, because the average Tennessean is trying to figure out how to pay their bills, how to keep their kids safe, and they don't need to see us taking up issues like this that constantly distract us and divide us, when we need to be working on things that's going to make their life easier. And I think we just need to move forward on that and get back to the people's business.
Let's go to line 2 here. Jamal. Hello, Jamal.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are y'all doing this evening?
Just fine. What's on your mind?
Okay, on this statue bust, I mean, I understand the history of it, and I'm a native son of Tennessee, proud resident of Nashville for 32 years. Looking at what we're looking at on a national stage, we are progressively growing, and people come here from everywhere for the last 10, 15 years. And I mean, Tennessee has to grow in a way that accepts all races and people. Leave the bus there, but let's honor other Tennesseans who made it through that time. Like Tina Turner, she comes from Nutbush, Tennessee, West Tennessee, in the area you're from, Representative Staples, and she made it out of there, made it onto a national stage as one of the greatest entertainers from our nation. Put her right beside him, because she made it through that cause. And that cause will always be part of the South, and it's part of our history. We need to wrap it up in our love and take it to the next level and say, yes, it might have hurt us in the past, but it's not going to hurt us in the future. And if you really want to do something in Nashville, you remember they used to have a swimming pool in Centennial Park where everybody could come in the whole city and swim together as a citywide community. They covered it with cement. Open it up and name it the Bedford Park Swimming Pool, and make a representative part out of something like that, of bringing everybody together.
All right. Let's talk.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about that. He's saying, if I understand it, leave it there and add others. And he said Tina Turner. I don't think Tina
That
Turner's
threw
from
me
your.
off, right?
She's not from your.
No, Tina
area.
Turner actually was from Mucktown, which is in Knoxville.
Oh, well,
so
there you
then
go.
she went to
All right,
Nutbush.
well, good.
Right.
All right. So he's saying leave it there, but put others up there. What do you think about that?
Well, that's part of the discussion. Once again, what we are talking about is not shifting, changing, rewriting, or hiding any history. We are talking about those individuals that are displayed at our state's capital and who they aspire and what they speak to. And so we're saying let's remove this contentious symbol and replace it with a elected Tennessean, since that is a house of elected individuals. And once again, from Ned Ray to Lois DeBerry, we need to think about these great elected men and women that we had serving across this state and replace it with him. We're not saying anything about adjusting history, and obviously I understand what his point was saying about Centennial Park, but we want to just keep our focus on the state's capital and not be intrusive to local government bodies about what they should do with their parks.
Right. Okay, let's go to Emily. Hello, Emily.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I think it should just stay where it's at. I get that some people find it offensive. Other people don't really mind it. Me, I think it's a slippery slope. If you move one, why not move all of them? I mean, it's like a domino effect. And I heard one other person say, why not put up other statues? Well, why not do that? It's part of our history. I mean, that's like saying, let's take down Lincoln's statue just because he screwed up sometime in his life. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Yes, he was somewhat of a horrible person, we'll put it that way. But at the same time, why not remember what he did? Because no one's going to go back to that ever, and nobody expects that. So why not just leave it where it's at and just put up other people as well?
Okay. All right, and we talked a little bit about the slippery slope argument. She again says, well, that's her concern, a slippery slope, and so leave it and put up others. You can address that.
Well, one thing you have to understand, one is there's not that many available coves within the state capitol. Two, Nathan Bedford Forrest bus was not placed in the Capitol when the Capitol was built, or even after his death. It was placed there in the 70s, and it's been contentious ever since then. And then his hometown of Chapel Hill, there are other state parks and museums that would like to have that bus. So you're not removing any piece of history by removing him. He's not necessarily attached to the Capitol. And I would be in agreement with her about replacing him once again with other individuals. We have had a conversation within the committee of naming and designation, taking our military figures and placing them into a military museum, and just focusing in on individuals that have been elected to and served in office.
Several people have said put up others, and we'll show you here in a moment. We'll try and put that back up. The area where this is, there's obviously an area that's made to have a bust. Do you know how many people are represented there in the Capitol or right in those hallways there between the House and Senate? Do you have an idea?
Gosh, no. We have Admiral York. We have a bust of George Washington, Andrew Jackson, Nathan Keeble, Davy Crockett's there. We have a couple other senators in there. I don't believe we have a bust of President. No, we might have one of Johnson there, maybe. So it's several different busts throughout those coves.
There's some discussion.
I don't think James K. Polk is there, though.
Okay, and some discussion about, because Nathan Bedford Forrest was not elected, right?
No,
he's a military figure.
Right.
So there is some talk about taking other military figures out and replacing in the halls of the legislature people who were elected.
Right. So that's part of it too. And the amendment that I had that was not taken up spoke to moving him to a more suitable location, because once again we do have a few counties that are asking for that bus to put in a park within those counties.
Okay. And here you'll see that video coming up here. Let's go to Rick. Hello, Rick.
Can I? Yes, it's Rick.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Can I first say, first and foremost, slavery was never right. It was always wrong. George Washington had slaves. John Adams had slaves. And a lot of it. But it was all wrong then. But with Bedford Forrest, he was a war hero. I'm in the military. I would rather not see him be moved, and I'm not trying to be facetious but I feel like it's a liberal thing. I don't know what you really, what do you want to do? What is wrong with them sitting there? I don't understand it. He had slaves. George Washington had slaves, but slavery was never, ever, ever right. And I know that with all my heart and soul. But I'd rather not, in my opinion, see him moved. And that's all I got to say.
All right, Rick. All right, thank you, Rick, for your call, your argument. What do you say there?
Well, it was kind of odd to have another Rick go against another Rick. That was kind of weird to me there. But you have to respect where people are. When individuals are calling in with their particular opinions, I'm willing to listen and hear that. But his first point was that he was a war hero. We're saying, hey, move him to a military museum. Move him somewhere, one of the counties where they want him. But here's the thing about it. Not only did he own slaves, he profited from the selling of their flesh. He looked at them as property and is directly involved in the slaughtering of several people that look like me. So now, having said that, that is the problem with his being there, because you have to think about it. Lord willing, I'll be 50 years old next month, and I had relatives that were still alive when I was a boy whose parents were slaves. So how can I be in a position to disrespect my own history? Not destroying others' history. We're not saying take the bus down and bust it into pieces. We're not saying take the bus down and bury it and never discuss it again. No. We're saying let's remove it. Let's put this contention behind us. It's time to move on. It's time to move on to more productive things and replace it with a Tennessean that has shown great service to all, man and woman, boy, girl, black and white, Native American. Let's replace this bus with somebody that's had a positive impact that we all can look to. And
that's interesting. It's not, what's disqualifying him in your eyes is not just that he owned slaves. It's more than that. Because in that time, that happened. But you're saying it's much, much more than that.
It is.
When you look at his history as a slave trader, again, a KKK leader, and a Confederate general, and then you're talking, there's this, the Fort Pillow massacre. Is that right? Mm-hmm. That's another issue. He's a very, so that's all part of it. Mm-hmm. All right, we have to take a break. Hold on the line. We're going to keep going to your calls. Hold on the line. A couple lines open if you want to call. Take a break. Be back right after this.